So I stopped at Black 2. Just because.
Black.
Or was it?
Sorry.
Just too black. There's too much blackness in this game.
Too much. It got too black. Which was great, but then I saw Sun and Moon and it looked.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Super Agile Bros. Yes, I mixed it up. Normally I say, hey, I think. But, welcome to...
Whatever you say, you have to say it multiple times.
Gotta say it multiple times. At least, plurality is important. But anyway, welcome to the Super Agile Bros podcast. You already know what it is. It is your boy, Bradston. And of course, we have the co-hosts, the best ones you could possibly have on the planet, or in the MCU, or the DCCU. We got the boy Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, what's up, Brad? Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be here today. Part of the SABU.
The SABU. Yes. And of course, we have our boy Steve. Steve, what's happening, brother?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Steve. Well, thank you, sir. Well, I got to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Twitter friend Diana, because you just said SAB. Apparently, we have a whole nother universe that we haven't really opened yet, which is the SAS universe, which is the Super Agile Sisters universe. So this we're the Super Agile Bros, but we want to welcome all of our Super Agile sisters as well. Thank you for listening. You are very special to us. We'll fight for you. We will protect you. You are our family.
Where would we be without our
women
sisters?
Listen to this? Are you kidding? No.
You said woman, singular.
For what it's worth, I feel like we've kind of had brothers in the generic sense. Like the Gregory brothers also includes their sister. You know what I mean?
The Gregory
She's
brothers.
just a feat.
You're
the Gregory bros. The guys who did Shmo Yoho.
Shmo Yoho.
They did the auto-tune, the news,
Man,
all
I don't
that
know
stuff.
These guys. Shmo Yoho sounds familiar, but I don't know it. Is it
It's
YouTube?
2 or 3.
YouTube thing?
Yeah, they're on YouTube. They do music and stuff. It's 2 or 3 guys and their sister, and they all have like nicknames, like the blank brother, the this brother, the that brother, and she's the female brother.
They did the Double Rainbow song. That was popular.
Yeah, they auto-tuned Double
them.
Rainbow guy.
That was them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everything was them.
It's so funny. Like, I think those were the days when I just watched YouTube videos, but I never thought about who put out the video.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like way back in the day, like 2006, 2007. YouTube just literally felt like everybody was just dropping stuff. You didn't know who it was, except for Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy.
That was the golden age of YouTube.
Soulja Boy made YouTube, but
Literally.
Shmo Yoho. Well, hey man, it's Super Agile family, I guess. So, yeah. but I do like what you're saying, Steve. It's kind of like when I say, "Yo, what's up, man?" I don't necessarily mean it as male or female or whatever. I just mean, "What's up, man?"
Friend.
Yeah, friend, human, person that I'm, associate that I am talking to at the time. So
there's a thin line, because on one hand, someone might argue that you're saying that only men matter, that men encapsulates everything. But on the other hand, you could say that, you just want it to be gender neutral as a greeting, which I feel you there. I feel you on that.
I mean, I've definitely said to friends, "Yo, what's up, lady?" I guess that's different because normally that's me making fun of them for whatever reason. So anyway, maybe I should just not make that point. Anyway, just ignore everything I just
said. Bradston makes fun of women. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Fresh off the presses. So, shout out to the Super Agile Sisters, and shout out to that truck in the background. I know y'all might be able to hear that. So shout out to his 8 Hemis and
shout out
dual wheel axle. But anyway, so let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Okay, so our last episode, we kind of lied to you on accident, right? Like, it was 100% accident. Our whole goal was to talk about games that surprised us. games that surprise us positively and games that surprise us negatively. But what ended up happening is we just talked about Sea of Thieves. That's like literally all we talked about. And sadly, that game fell on the negative side. So today, we're going to actually talk about games that surprise us. We have lists, we have ideas, we have things we want to share. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to ask guys, what makes a game surprise you? We're going to keep it super brief just in case you watched the last episode. But for those who might be joining us for the first time, we want to make sure that you're up to speed. So I'll start. So basically, what makes a game surprise me? Essentially, I feel like I'm going to say something different than I did last time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
How surprising.
Just don't contradict yourself. We'll know.
That's what I'm struggling with. I'm like, man, what did I say last time? You know, but essentially for a game to surprise me, it subverts my expectations as what I guess surprise would be maybe by its definition. But really for me, it's a game. It's a game where I had a certain expectation about the experience or what it may be, or even if I had like no idea what the game was and I was like, let me just play it. And I had a strong experience, you know what I'm saying? Negative or positive, then that's pretty much essentially how a game can surprise me. So that's my general way. I'll talk more about that as we get into things. So what about you guys? Kyle?
So man, about Sea of Thieves.
Please.
So I made, I guess, like a positive point last time of what surprised me. So I'm intentionally going to say something different this time and say that on the negative side, like to be, I guess, on the nose, I got to take, the words right out of my friend's EA Games' mouth.
In the game.
Surprise mechanics. I'm not a big fan of those, especially predatory ones. And so those types of surprises in games, and I'll talk about one of, I guess, my most recent run-ins with surprise mechanics, has to do with socks and how terrible it was.
Okay.
At a later date. But, so, surprise mechanics are bad.
That's surprising. And so when you say that, do you mean microtransactions or like mechanics that are surprises?
So, yeah, it in this case, it would be microtransactions, predatory ways of monetization, things of that nature.
Got it. Yeah.
What about you, Sir Steve?
Gambling.
Yeah,
I hate gambling too. No, last time I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of when a game has more depth or less depth than I expect.
What is wrong?
That's what surprises me. Whether that's depth of storytelling or depth of the mechanics, like, oh, this is a really interesting way to play. I never thought of this. Or I'll definitely have some examples later today. Or like depth of detail. If a game just feels like a labor of love and you can see all the little ways that the creators attended to it, or it just lacks that, like it's really that can be surprising.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I like to be surprised. I think I said this in the last time, but like I enjoy being surprised. I hate anytime I was talking to Shailene, my wife, and saying to her, like, we were talking about like games that we play together and stuff like that. And I was saying like like shows that we watch. And I was just saying to her, like, literally, I'll watch anything. And I was like, I don't mind any of the shows that she watches. Like she watches, rom-coms and like, different things like that. And that's not like my cup of tea per se, but I'll watch it. And unless to me, I feel like the writing's terrible and I can guess everything that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to leave the room and go do something else, So I feel like it's the same with games. Like as long as they surprise me in a good way, or even in a negative way, I'm cool with that. So actually I want to start out with the game that I'm actually actively playing right now. Actually, right before this podcast, I was playing and I was playing with my wife. And it's a game that I think is the game that has maybe in the last few years surprised me pleasantly the most. And Let
Can I guess?
I was
Can we
gonna
guess
see. Maybe one of you guys can guess.
I know what it is, so I'll let you guess.
I'm gonna say Minecraft.
Okay, Minecraft.
It is not it.
Okay, what is it?
Very close.
Kyle? What is it, Kyle?
It is Stardew Valley.
Hey, the valley itself. Okay. The Star of Dew. Yes, that game, Stardew Valley. Okay, for those who don't know what Stardew Valley is, essentially it's a
Harvest Moon.
It's a farming simulator.
It's a farming, and that's the thing.
It's not that complex.
It is complex. That's why I can't even say
the game. Sorry. The game is complex, but I feel like the explanation isn't that.
Yeah, like on the surface, it's a farming simulator, but really, if you're aware of Harvest Moon and different games like that, then you might be somewhat familiar with it. But basically, it takes place in a town. You're living there. Your grandfather gave you this cabin and this field, and you can harvest, all these different plants and fruits and vegetables, whatever they are, throughout 4 different seasons in a year: fall, winter, all that. I'm sorry.
There you go.
There it goes. Anyway, and you can plant and make money. But the thing that really surprised me about the game is how much more there is in it, right? Like, to me, I was like, oh, I'll check it out. It's cheap. I've heard it's pretty good on the Switch. And dude, it got me. It's ruined me. That's one of the few games that I have played multiple times. I have played it on my Switch and my PlayStation, 2 different games. I'm actively playing a game with my wife. Like, we're playing a session together. And you can...
How's the multiplayer?
It's really good. Like, the local is incredibly good because they went for the approach of doing split screen up and down instead of vertically instead of horizontally. And it works so well. You get your own control. Like, how you play like co-op games? And if you were to like pause, it pauses for everybody. And or if you try to go into a certain menu, everybody's forced to stop playing.
Yeah.
It's almost like 2 separate sessions of the game at the same time. And the only time that it messes with you is when you have to like input like something with the PlayStation like letters and stuff.
UI.
Yeah, UI. Oh, okay. But that's super duper rare. So like it's like the best possible implementation of local co-op. So it's great. I mean, you go cave diving, you can fish, you can get married, you can have animals, you can like animal husbandry, you can make armor and upgrades, and there's an RPG element, and there's secrets, and there's all these wacky
it's also
characters.
Just very satisfying, right?
Yes.
To like build up your farm.
Yes.
That's the main gameplay loop is.
Yeah.
Progression.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like, I've been trying to convince my wife to play it for, like, ever, But every time she sees me playing, she's like, I don't know, that's not my type of game. I don't know. And she started playing Minecraft. As I've mentioned before, she's into Minecraft. And I was like, I know she'll like this game. And over this past weekend, I was like, hey, let's just start playing it together. And she's so funny because I was telling her, sometimes I don't know if she likes a game because she doesn't do, like, what most people who are like gamers will do, like, oh man, I really like this mechanic, or like they'll just say it. She just sits there quietly and she just plays. And so I was like, maybe she's not into it. And then I was like talking to her. She's like, oh, I really like this game. She's like, matter of fact, I just like fishing. Like that's the side mechanic, but she really enjoys fishing. So anyway, this game has surprised me. Like, in a way, I know Steve has played Stardew Valley. Have you played Stardew Valley, Kyle?
I played a little bit of Stardew. We actually played together when we were playing Minecraft a while ago. We moved over to Stardew.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was on the PS4. That's why I got it on the PS4. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't played it since then, though. Very good, because I'd played a lot of Harvest Moon growing up, and it's very similar. Like, to me, these games are less farming simulators. Like, they do great in the farming sim part, but it's just like a life simulator where you happen to be a farmer.
Yeah, small town life simulator.
Yeah. Like, if they made one where you could choose different occupations, it wouldn't affect the core gameplay very much at all.
Very true. Yeah. I mean,
now there's an idea. You have a game where all of the mechanics, well, not all of them, but the like major goals and quests that you have center around whatever you pick
Ooh.
So a farmer has to get crops and stuff, whereas a fisherman has to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a big.
But
old
you can
boat.
do both, but your goals are changed.
It kind of reminds me of the idea of like what Sims are, except for like Sims, you don't actually see them do their careers. You just put them in their car and then they go do it. But they have like objectives they have to accomplish, and they have to grow certain stats to be more, to perform well at their job. So it'd be like Sims mixed with Stardew would be like the perfect like matchup of mechanics.
Take note,
Hey.
Super Agile Nation.
Hey, all my game devs out there,
steal our game ideas. That's why you're here.
Like,
if you get rich, we will find you.
We will find you and sue you, but we're gonna play it first, then we'll sue you.
Yeah, we'll buy a copy.
Then we'll sue you. So, Steve, did you like Stardew Valley? I don't like.
It's really not my kind of game. I bought it twice. I got it. Well, no, I bought it once for Keisha and once for myself on her Steam account. So that we could play. That was one of the things we did when we were dating long distance, was we tried to play Stardew Valley. And we played a few times, but what happened was that she really liked the game, and she got elected. I only played it when I was with her, and we didn't even play it like a lot. So she quickly got ahead of me, and I just never really picked up. I never got into it. And I've already mentioned on this podcast a few times. She has a life. She has a family and a husband now. She goes on hot air balloon dates with him, I guess. I don't know.
Oh wow, extravagant life.
What's funny?
He's a doctor.
So. What's funny when you say she has a life, and I thought you were talking about her actual life. Like I thought you were saying like, oh, she has a life, so she can't actually play this game. Like she's, But I realized
that is true. But in the game, she
both
has a life.
No,
a life without me.
Yo, Kyle, I encourage you to sit down with the wifey and just say, hey, let's play. Let's start playing a few days together. Like just. Because, it's a daily kind of thing, and see if she gets into it, You never know.
Yeah. Part of me thinks she would like it because she plays a lot of puzzle type games where, I guess I say puzzle, but it's more like you do tasks, like specific tasks to build up things. She really likes games like that. Like one game that we were really into was 2 Point Hospital.
2 Point Hospital. Is that a mobile game?
It could be, but it's not. So the company I think that makes them is the 2 Point, but they've made a couple of different 2 Point games. Like they're coming out with another one called 2 Point University. But anyway, the base of the game is, so you're given this area and you have to build it up from nothing by buying different like research facilities. Like so for the hospital one, you have to hire doctors and nurses, and patients come in, and you have to build up a hospital and reach a certain level. It's essentially, it's like a roller coaster tycoon, but a hospital.
Really?
I might have seen that game.
Where is it on? What is it on?
So we played it on PS4, but it's on pretty much every platform.
I gotta write this down.
This man's offended that
I think
this game exists in his turf. He didn't know.
Yeah, I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, I think it's about to come to Switch, if I'm not mistaken. The new one, at least. 2 Point Hospital probably already is on Switch.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very good little game. Highly recommended. You will sink some hours into it, especially if you played, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Zoo Tycoon, any of these like facility building games. Oh man,
really?
You'll be hooked.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. So is it is it a single game, like, or can you play together at the same time? Is it a co-op game? I mean?
So no, there isn't cooperative, just because you're kind of like a god hand type situation. So, so no, there's no actual co-op, but nothing you do is necessarily individualized. I guess like you decide where to place things. So
you could just have two mice plugged into your computer and fight for control.
The optimum way to play.
One person controls the left click, one person controls the right click. Or
yes.
Or on the Switch, I guess you could use one person gets.
You can literally just split the controller in half. You're right.
Just the worst possible experience ever.
Speaking of the worst possible experience with controllers, can I share a game that disappointed me?
Absolutely.
Do it.
All right, let me hit you with this.
Let me hit you with it.
Actually, wait. Do you want to guess based on what I just said what game it is?
So about controllers, that was pleasantly surprising.
Yeah, something that disappointed me about controllers.
Oh, disappointed.
Yes,
okay,
this is bad.
Can you give me a console?
It's on the Switch.
Was it Metroid Dread?
1-2 Switch?
No, it was neither one. 1-2 Switch. That's actually, I would say, a positive surprise. Those mini games are fire, dude.
I heard that they were very good, but I wasn't gonna pay. I think it was like full price for that game. I wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's it's not worth $60.
It should have came with the Switch, 100%.
I am the milkman. All right, ask anybody from Louisiana, except you two apparently, and they'll tell you that I'm the milkman.
Why would they say this?
Huh?
Why would they say this?
Because there's a game called Milk in 1-2 Switch that I just dominated.
Oh, I was so confused.
Whenever we played
Me
it.
too.
I was like, elaborate?
No, I was 100% just going to leave that confusing statement as is.
Yeah,
just let everyone listening.
And I was going to search online, what is the milkman?
And you never would have found the answer. No, the game in question is Let's Go Eevee, or Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I forgot that game even existed. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
Sad game.
Pokemon Let's Go. So that was the first Pokemon game to come out on the Switch. And I think it was also the first Pokemon game. There's probably lots of things I don't know about Pokemon, but I think that was one of the first major Pokemon games to come out after Pokemon Go. Yeah? Yeah. And they clearly were like riding the wave of Pokemon Go when they designed and marketed this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can feel you on that, yeah.
It was integrated with Pokemon Go.
It was integrated, and I'll get to the controls in a second. One thing I was really... I've been out of the loop with Pokemon. I played the first couple games. I got up to Pokemon Gold. I think I played Crystal a little bit. My brother had it, so I may not have had a chance. And then I never played anything. I didn't have like anything past the Game Boy Color. So never a DS, never a 3DS. Never played any Pokemon past that point. So this was going to be my first foray back into Pokemon. And I was looking forward to reliving my Pokemon Yellow. I think it's based on Yellow because you have Pikachu or Eevee, and you can like catch all the starters.
That's, I guess, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was based on Yellow. That's my favorite game. And I'm like, cool, they like added all the new types and the new mechanics to the old game. Mm-hmm. And there's like a new art style. It's 3D, and it's going to, well, for me, it's new. It's going to be great. So the first disappointment was that, no, they didn't add all the new mechanics and types and stuff. It's basically just the first game.
Got it.
I think they might have added a few Pokemon from later games. I don't remember now. But I remember immediately thinking like, dang, I didn't get the only thing I actually cared about.
Dang.
I could have just played Pokemon Yellow. But what was worse was if you play... So in this game, the catching mechanic is just like in Pokemon Go. So you have to like manipulate a Pokeball. Either with the Joy-Cons, you fling your hand in a throwing motion, or with the touch screen, you like fling it off the screen. And neither one feels great. And God help you if you're in a cave and you're surrounded by Zubat, because they did not make that any easier at all. And the Zubats are flying around the screen. But the worst, the bonkers decision they made that just drives me mad is that they... Oh, you know what? No, you don't use... I don't know if you do use the screen, actually, in handheld mode. I think you just push the button. Yeah, you just aim with the gyro, which is annoying, by the way. You aim with the gyro, and then you push the button. He just throws a Pokeball.
The touch screen on the Switch really doesn't get much love.
It really doesn't, but I understand like why they didn't. It's honestly, I don't know what the point is of the touchscreen on the Switch, because I think there's like 2 games that use it. It's just really inconvenient. Why would you ever put it anyway? So that's what they did. They added a button. But what drives me bonkers is that you cannot play with the Pro controller.
Yeah.
It's either handheld mode where you have both Joy-Con together in your tablet, not tablet, but handheld, or you play with a single Joy-Con. Not both Joy-Cons. Not the Pro Controller.
Wait.
A single Joy-Con.
Wait, so you're saying that if it's in handheld mode, you use the touchscreen, right?
No. I was wrong. You don't use a touchscreen.
But
you use both Joy-Con together.
Might as well be.
But it's motion controls?
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Yeah,
you motion controls
mostly
in handheld mode? Like to throw a Pokemon?
You heard me. No, not to throw. Not to throw. It's motion controls to aim because the Pokemon are like in a 3D space, so you're aiming.
Gyro.
Just send,
yes,
send your Switch across the room.
I was literally about to be like, that's literally. I can't think of a meeting where they had like, well, let's do it this way. Like everybody's fired. Wow.
No. You should still feel that way because listen to what I'm telling you. You can only play on the TV with a single Joy-Con. And you might be thinking, oh, like you would play Mario Kart or something where you turn it sideways because that's the whole draw of the asymmetrical controllers is that you can just turn them sideways and it's the same. No, Bradston.
Wait, no.
You play with a single Joy-Con in one hand.
One hand.
Wait, for movement and everything?
Everything.
Yes.
Wait, what?
One stick, one thumb to rule them all.
They did it for their product. They made a peripheral for this game.
What are you talking about?
Wait, what?
They did. They made a Pokeball controller.
Oh, the controller. Yeah, they did. So yeah, there's a controller that they sold separately. Yeah. Which is just a Pokeball with a thumbstick where the button would go. And you can like push the thumbstick in and that's A. And that pretty much is the whole, like that's all you need for the most part.
What?
They centered the controls around you holding that Pokeball.
So the experience is this: you use one thumb to navigate, to push all of the face buttons, like to navigate menus and stuff. And if you're like me, you're right-handed, so you're using A, X, B, Y, but then you're using the right stick, which is a little lower. So you're always walking around with your thumb like bent in half. And of course, when you're playing with one Joy-Con, you throw Pokeballs with that throwing motion. So, yeah,
fun.
Yeah, I didn't even get past I think the third or fourth gym. Like I quit very early.
Got farther than I thought you would have. That sounds horrible.
Yeah. It like the game was fine. Like I think it was fine. Whatever. It was just rehashing yellow. It probably wasn't worth $60, but the decision making is so maddening that it has ruined the entire concept of the game for me. Like I could not persist.
See, this is where like Nintendo really like I've always appreciated Nintendo for just being themselves, right? Like hey, we're a game company that really wants to do cool and interesting things. Like we wouldn't have the Switch, we wouldn't have the Wii, we wouldn't have a lot of things if it wasn't for Nintendo like sticking to their guns.
Innovating.
It's true.
Being weird.
It's true.
Innovation. And I really appreciate that. But what I don't appreciate is that I feel like on the opposite side of that is the stubbornness that Nintendo has. Where it's like, they could easily be better. I mean, let's talk about Nintendo Switch Online. Come on, y'all. Like,
it's a joke.
It's absolutely just the bare minimum, like, possible with a little bit of fluff so that they can do their vision. But it really feels like they just are like, no, this is just the way we want to do it. We don't care if it's a good experience. We care that it's our experience. You know what I'm saying?
You can't say we don't have it.
You can't.
Yeah, Keisha was just asking me, like, oh, would you work for Nintendo? I don't know why she asked me that. Ooh. And I was like, at first I was like, yeah, that'd be sick. Like, I would love to, like, maybe not make a video game, but, like, work on their system and do the kind of work I'm doing now for Nintendo. But then I thought about it. I'm like, no. Yeah. I would go crazy because they make so many just
weird,
awful decisions.
And I can't, and I feel like, not to be rude, but I feel like sometimes Nintendo feels like this weird cult where like, if you're a Nintendo, you can't speak ill of Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, yes, I love Nintendo. Switch up, bud. like there's a gun to your head. It's so good. The Wii U,
red laser dot
the Wii U is the next generation of console. You're like, you like you have to have that orthodoxy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I just remembered we never talked about the latest Nintendo Direct. Are we going to do that, or is that a big enough deal to warrant an episode?
Real talk, I didn't even watch it. I just like I overheard somebody talking about what happened in Nintendo Switch Direct or whatever, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't care. Like, there's nothing here that's really matters.
Yeah.
You know, like
I was just thinking they had a moment where they were like, do you remember, you watched it, right, Kyle?
I watched it. Yeah.
Do you remember? There was some situation where they just let it go on and on. It was
about
like
the
way
Wii
too
Sports?
long. Yes, that's what it was. They were showing off the new Wii Sports game, and they were like showing way too much gameplay.
Too much.
It is not exciting to watch.
It's not. It's Wii Sports. Like, they just remade
Wii Sports.
Wii Sports.
And they brought in the high level Nintendo execs, and they're playing with their Miis.
Please stop.
And it's like, oh, that's distinctly, whoever. And it's like, look, when I move my controller, they swing the racket. It's like, yes, we know how tennis works. You did a great job. I'm sure it's fun, but it's not fun to watch.
No, it did not translate well through that Direct at all.
Like,
I'm curious about how much they're going to sell it for.
I was making the joke that like they had somehow managed to make a Wii music situation without the live show.
They did. All the cringe was present.
Every ounce of cringe on my plate.
Just so you can watch it on demand. On demand cringe. Yeah, I mean,
rewind that cringe.
Nintendo's definitely like your eccentric, quirky uncle. You know, like he's like
whole company.
He's like avant-garde. He owns his own. You name odd thing, hot air balloon store. You know what I'm saying? But like he also believes like in moment. You know, like it's like you got really cool things here, but. Yeah, like, and it was deliberate. And the thing, that's why I feel like it's a cult, because I feel like there's somebody in Nintendo, I don't know if it's Miyamoto or whoever, who's like, you're going to play this, and you're going to enjoy this in front of all the investors, all of our fans. Like, I really don't want to play this, Miyamoto-san. You are going to play Wii Sports.
Or you're done.
I know your kid. Oh, you're talking about little, Satoshi in school. Oh, they'd be so unfortunate if his whole school. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's horrible.
That's why I was disappointed by Let's Go Eevee. I was devastated.
I think those games were, because I'd played the Pokemon on the DS up until that point. I didn't play. I think the last ones were Sun and Moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I didn't play those.
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Sir.
Yes. Excuse me.
Don't forget the superlative.
so I
Super Sun and Super Moon. This is the DC universe.
So I stopped at Black 2. Just because.
Black.
Or was it?
Sorry.
Just too blackness. Too much blackness in this game.
Too much. It got too black. Which was great, but then I saw Sun and Moon, and it looked noticeably worse. The gameplay looked the same, but like they revealed the Pokemon, and I was like, I don't want to play that. And so I didn't. And the Let's Go games were the first mainstream Pokemon game for a console. Like a home console, I should say. And so that's why they got so much hype.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't anything for the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't, thankfully, nothing for the Wii U that would have been lost to time.
Wait.
Well,
but this Let's Go Pikachu was already a game, right? Like in the past. Like, well, like no. There was what was that?
Pokemon Yellow.
Hey You Pikachu.
Oh, You Pikachu.
Hey You Pikachu, where you had the little mic and you'd have to speak to Pikachu before the technology existed. This is Nintendo taking it to the next level. Before the technology existed for speech to text, I remember somebody talking about how they're like you had to get Pikachu to eat an apple. And you'd be like, Pikachu, eat the apple. It'd be like, Pikachu. And you just run over to the left. You'd be like, Pikachu, eat the apple. Like, he's like, if you want to get angry, play Hey You Pikachu.
Disobeying.
Pikachu jumps off the ledge. No, Pikachu, no!
Game over.
Like, all you had to do, Pikachu, was eat the apple.
Rolls credits. I want to be the very best.
In memory of Pikachu. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like, hey, you Pikachu. Let's go Eevee and let's go Pikachu, whatever. Like, those games to me really felt like disrespectful games because, like you said, it was like, oh, we're waiting for another Pokemon game. Pokemon Go was hot, like, right previous to that. There's not too much going on, I think, at the time on the Switch. And it's just like, why? Why does this exist? Like, just make another Metroid. That's what we want. Like...
I blame Game Freak partially. Because they seem to not be... I mean, to your point, I feel like they're part of Nintendo. Like they were absorbed by Nintendo in a way, so they can't really push back in a lot of ways, I would imagine.
Better make that Pikachu.
But it's like... Take the L, I guess, so somebody else could make the game. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Game Freak. They were co-developing their game Little Town Hero that was just complete garbage. So it's like, thank you for ruining. Wait, was that during Let's Go's development, or was that during Pokemon Sword?
It was during Sword and Shield, and the marketing was running in parallel, and so people were ripping into their game even harder because Sword and Shield looked so bad.
People were like, "Wow, you guys made this trash game and made Pokemon more trash than it normally would have been."
Exactly.
So this is kind of a side tangent. And Kyle, I want to hear one of your games that you've been thinking about. But the new game Pokemon Arceus is out. And it's one of those games
it's really good.
I want to play. Yeah, like I keep hearing it's good. And it's like one of those games, like I haven't played a legitimate Pokemon game, if you don't include Pokemon Go, since Silver. I think I've told you guys, since the terrible incident.
Man, on the
Game Boy Advance. And I want to play it, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if... Like, I hear it's so good. I've seen some funny glitches with Snorlax. But I'm like, I feel like it's going to surprise me in a good way, but I don't know if I want to take the chance. You know what I'm saying? Like...
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I'm not...
Because, like... No, So I bought Let's Go Eevee, and I bought Pokemon Shield physically, thinking... if I don't like these games, at least I can sell them after. But what I've realized, so I was willing to like kind of take a risk. And what I realized is that I don't have the heart or the will to sell my games, so I still own them. I don't have that money back. And I probably never will sell them. And so I've realized like I can't take that risk because I'm probably not going to sell a game even if I hate it.
Fair enough.
Well,
yeah, I got, I picked up Arceus, I don't know how you say it.
Is it good?
I haven't played it yet. I grabbed it because he just has it in his wrapping. It's like sitting on his desk, and he just looks at it like just stares. I don't know.
You joking? But it is still in the plastic. Like, I haven't unwrapped it. It's sitting on the mantle in the living room.
Really?
But I grabbed it because Walmart was doing like this weird sale where it was $45 or something. So I was like, it's never going to be this price again. So.
You'd be surprised.
I would be surprised. But so I nabbed it, but I haven't started playing it yet because I know it's going to be one of those engulfers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kyle basically bought it like pandemic toilet paper. Like, I need to get it because it might not be this price ever again. Like, and if it's gone, it's gone.
You actually might be right because Nintendo games never
go on sale.
Never.
Yeah. Unless you steal it. But anyway,
discount.
So this is super random, but I was just looking at Game Freak to see what games they've made in general, because I remember as a kid, a game that did surprise me, but I was a little kid, so anything Pokemon was just awesome. But I bought the game Pokemon Pinball for the Game Boy, and
word?
I
said word?
Yes, and that game was
word.
Fire, son. It was so cool because you playing pinball, but you could evolve your Pokemon in it. You had to catch Pokemon in it. Like, it all sounds really stupid in a pinball scenario, but they somehow managed to make, like, encapsulate the Pokemon experience within a pinball game. It was so fun. I used to play it all the time, and you'd get really far. Like, say you had a Squirtle and you got it to like be a War Turtle, and you wanted to go Blastoise. You had to be like on a spree, because if your ball fell and you lost the game, you don't start from where you ended. You have to restart all the way, right?
Oh, wow.
So it was super intense. But anyway, I was looking at all these games. Tell me why. I was just looking at, in most of Game Freak's games after Pokemon Red and Blue, which kind of put them on the map, were Pokemon games. But randomly in the year of, I just lost it. It was on the Dreamcast. They made a game called Tembo. No, it was a Sega game, and it was on PlayStation 4. Sorry, not on Dreamcast. It was called Tembo the Bad Butt Elephant. And I'm censoring myself.
Excuse me?
That is so funny.
Tembo the Bad Butt Elephant. I've never heard of this before. But
what on earth?
It's all Pokemon games. Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon this and that, Pokemon that. And then in the middle of that, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Tembo the Bad Butt Elephant. Like
the bad booty elephant.
Just out of nowhere. So
these
shout out to Tembo.
Pokemon games, it must really be breaking them at Game Freak. It's like they have just lost it.
They're like, we're gonna do it. We don't even care. Just do it.
Please, anything else. We got Tembo over here. We'll take it.
Tembo. He's an elephant, and he's bad. Real bad.
Can I get Tembo for $400?
And it looks like it got solid 8s, 7s and 8s, so it's not a terrible game. But
Timbo was actually good.
Yeah, it looks like it was solid. I got to look into this now. So Kyle, do you have any games that surprised you that were like
Timbo review coming up?
Come to see.
So what are we doing? Positively,
whatever you want to do, bro.
I did negative, so you can do what you like, man.
All right, I'll keep the trend as negative. I know we've mentioned this game a handful of times. I believe all three of us have played it. But I don't know if we ever talked about it at length. So I'm gonna bring it up here.
Okay.
One Man's Lie.
Yo, that's on my list for bad negative surprises.
So the actual name of the game, No Man's Sky. Yes, we brought it up many, many times. And so this is definitely... So I made a couple different categories because I couldn't just fit mine into like positively surprised, negatively surprised. This is in my list that I titled, What Happened? Because to me, man, No Man's Sky had infinite amounts of potential. And then... We've talked about this before, but the game just came out and it just, things didn't make sense. The decisions they made didn't make sense. So what really broke me about the game was from the very beginning. I think, Brad, you had a similar experience, but so you're dropped into the game and you're not told anything. There's no tutorial. Maybe there is one now, but it was when the game first came out, right? So they've played the beginning of the game before, I'd imagine. This was a big game, huge marketing budget, but you drop onto a planet, random planet, and the first thing you start to do is die.
Yes.
Gotta love it.
There's things flashing on screen saying, oh, this meter's low. You gotta find this resource. Bam, bam, bam. And it's just the most hectic for no reason. And maybe there's direction. I don't know. I don't remember because my heart was racing immediately, because all the marketing was
makes your oxygen drop faster.
Exactly. It's I think that's what I was low on. I was dying in real life because of the game. And I was like, this is a horrible introduction, but maybe they'll redeem themselves. And because, some games, they'll put you in tense situations, but you can't actually die, or something like that. Or eventually it'll show you how to do it. No, I was running around on this island, or this planet, trying to figure out what to do, and I died.
Yeah.
I died.
Oh, dude, you suck.
In my first 5 minutes of the game. I learned. So, I'll give them that. From dying, I figured out what I need to do when I respawned. But, maybe I should just get good.
Get good. Yes.
It was a negative experience, man.
No, I specifically remember this because, okay, this is how this happened, right? So it was me and Kyle. This is when we were in the Agile space. This is back in the day, the origin story. And me and Kyle were talking. We've been, the controversy of No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky had been,
Can't
I can't even remember, was still embroiled. But what happened was the game was on sale. We were just talking about it for some reason. Mm-hmm. And I think we looked up where the game existed, where we could buy it at a GameStop, if we could get a used copy. And Kyle found one somewhere near where he lived, I think. And Kyle bought a copy for me and him, and I said, "Oh, I'll just pay you back because whatever." So Kyle gave me a copy. He's playing, and I think we maybe started playing around the same time because we didn't talk prior to about our experiences with the game, but we had almost the same exact experience, except for I didn't die on the first one, but I did suffer an anxiety attack, essentially. Like when he says you start in the game and you have first of all, like, No Man's Sky is not an easy game to understand. It is overwhelmingly like there's all these little UI things, and then the menu is all over the place, and like you got to combine things to do a thing. Like, it is not a game.
So it's like Chimera Land.
I would say.
It wishes it was like Chimera Land.
I think Chimera Land has horrible UI, but after a few minutes of using it, you're like, okay, I understand why it's so garbage, because it can't be not garbage. But it felt like No Man's Sky could have done it better, and they just were like, we want to lie more instead of develop more, So you're just dying. I survived, but like literally, in the weirdest thing about that experience is that the game is not that intense after that moment, like ever again.
Mm-mm.
Like the game is super chill and relaxing,
super chill,
and almost like when I call it one man sleeping pill, because I fell asleep playing the game. Like, it just seems like completely contrasting what the game actually is, and it was so terrible. I wouldn't be surprised if like there's a good portion of people who never got past that tutorial and like just quit because it's so intense and out of nowhere, It's like one of those games where you get an achievement a half hour in on PlayStation, and it's like 5% of the people have achieved this achievement. You're like, wait, really? It really feels like that,
So speaking of intensity, you just made me remember why I died. So I didn't die because of the ailment. I died because I aggroed a robot.
You told me about this. Yes,
those flying like sentry robots that I didn't know weren't friendly, and so I walked near it because this is my first encounter with the game, and it started laser beaming me, and all I had was my harvesting tool. And
so I was melee attacks.
Just lasers? Nothing but
lasers,
just laser.
Yeah, and so I was shooting it back with my laser, but I don't remember. I don't think it was doing any damage because it was my harvesting tool. Yeah.
You're not even armed.
Yeah, and so everything about the situation was terrible.
Yeah,
there was no redeemable.
And I feel like they did try to tutorialize you dying. Like they say, oh, you need oxygen, so you need to go in the cave, or you need nitrogen because of this. But the fact that there's like if you're gonna drop me on the first planet. You know what? I understand it's like a completely what's it called? A generated, what do you call it? Procedural game.
Generated.
But you know what? Like, you can design a way to give me armor in a way that I can't die, or not have sentry bots like aggro me until I at least finish the tutorial.
Exactly.
It just felt almost like it was the beginning of another game that they were making, and then they forgot to remove it. Like, it was like, oh snap, we forgot to take this out. Well, that's what it is, y'all. Like, it is what it is.
It's especially bad because Kyle and I have played Astroneer, which does none of those mistakes. It has a ton of UI. Arguably, I would say, what do you think, Kyle? I think Astroneer they kind of went with a skeuomorphic idea for the UI, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's in world, and then to me it's very clean.
Like when you look at your inventory, it literally pulls the backpack off your back and shows the slots. So that's cool.
But the resource management is pretty much the same.
It's the same, but here's the difference, right? You start with a hab, so you have free oxygen and free power. where you're not going to just die instantly.
Oh, so they basically say, hey, we're going to put you on training wheels so you can like
you
enjoy
get a base.
the game.
No. Well, I guess you could call it training wheels, but really, it's just built differently. You have a base.
It's built different.
It's because I feel like in No Man's Sky, you don't have a base, right? You're just flying around doing stuff. In this game, you can build bases.
Yeah, they added base building in one of the updates.
No, that's true. They did.
No, you have bases in No Man's Sky. That's actually like the first thing you have to do. Remember, you have to build that little outpost base so you can build all the weird stuff. So you can fix your ship so you can leave the stupid planet.
So it's not built differently. They literally just did better by giving you that to start with and saying, here, you won't die in the first 5 minutes.
So I remember having this ship in No Man's Sky and having to, but I don't remember an actual base. I remember I built like a little machine that could change materials. But in Astroneer, you have like it's not a spaceship, but it's like an actual like space base that you go inside of to regain oxygen.
Yeah, you don't remember.
It wasn't like a physical...
You don't go inside the base. You just get close to it.
Yeah, in No Man's Sky, one of your first things you have to do before you can like do anything is like you have to build like a little house thing so you can connect your little generator. It's really bad. Like I'm not trying to
remember it.
I'm not trying to say that they did a good job. Matter of fact, I thought it was so horrible that I was like, I never want to deal with this building type mechanic again because it's so wonky and the rules are super esoteric. Like, ugh. I just get angry thinking about it.
Maybe that's why I forgot about it. I pushed it out of my mind.
The moral of the story, gentlemen, is play Astroneer. It's basically the love child of Minecraft and No Man's Sky. It's the best of both worlds.
That's what's up. You know,
it's not a perfect game, but it's better than No Man's Sky.
You know, speaking of No Man's Sky or One Man's Sleeping Pill, I want to talk about a game that I'm pretty sure none of you guys have ever heard of. And if you have, props to you because you're deep within the game world. It's a game called To the Moon. And it was an indie darling around the same time as Supergiant's
Transistor, Bastion, Pyre.
No, I'm sorry, Sword and Sorcery. Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery. Around that same time. So like, yeah, also what the game you just said about that I can't remember, Supergiant's Bastion was really popular. But it was a little bit before this as well. But it was like the beginning of the indie era on Steam. And I was kind of like looking into indie games because I was like, yo, like this is so cool. Like games that are actually doing something different. They're on Steam. Some of them are only $1. Some of them are $3. Some you can get for free. You know what I'm saying? So I played a lot of different games, and one of them was To the Moon. And another game, Resonance, which I want to talk about as a positive experience if we have the time eventually. But To the Moon was the one that's literally... So, okay. One big thing was I was researching games to play, and everywhere I went, To the Moon was talked about. Man, this game is a tour de force. It does things different. I've never played a game like this. You know, like all these little accolades. Bro, To the Moon was so boring. Like, so boring, dog.
No.
Like,
got him.
Like, yo, Kyle, I don't know if you remember this. When we had a show called Scratch the Itch. Remember that random indie game where it was like we were in the town and it was like this terracotta, right? It was in the ilk of entertainment value as terracotta. We're like, oh no. So for people who don't know what terracotta is, you can find our YouTube channel called Scratch the Itch, and you can find us through the playthrough of a game called Terracotta, and you'll understand what we're talking about. But essentially, it's like a long form narrative, but not well done. Okay. And nothing against Terracotta because it was like a personal experience and I get it. I actually think Terracotta is better than To the Moon, but like To the Moon was like, you're like playing this game where like you're trying to like play a love story and it's just like a badly written love story and all the characters are stupid. You walk slow, and it's like, I just wanted to finish it, dog. Like, have you ever just been so like determined? I'm gonna finish this game because I got this far, dog. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It got so bad, and the cutscenes were unskippable, and the text was long, and it was so boring. So boring. And everyone's talking about, oh, it's the greatest game. 9.5, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And I'm like, all these people, they probably don't have jobs anymore. Because this game was so garbage to me.
They lied.
And maybe it was meaningful to people who don't have any meaning in their lives, but this game was just terrible.
Bro.
Man.
Savage, dude.
I'm sorry.
Your life is meaningless. That's why you like this game.
Sorry. It disappointed me so much. It was a negative surprise
That's rough.
to the highest degree. Look it up. You'll probably see all kind of positive reviews. It was garbage. It was just,
To the moon?
Yeah, and there's no gameplay. It's just you walk around and talk to people and don't necessarily know what you're not supposed to do and what you're supposed to do. It's just...
Your emotions are the gameplay.
I think so. I honestly think so. The gameplay is
All right, I got one. I got one that's good. Pokemon. No, I will say that I have it on my list. I don't want to get into it, but I actually was pleasantly surprised by Pokemon Go.
Yes, I was thinking about bringing it up,
yeah.
but I was like, I'm not gonna say anything because
But then they ruined it. Niantic ruined it by blocking rooted Android phones. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna bother anymore.
People were going crazy with the spoofing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
My positive surprise game is Dishonored.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
I played this game I was watching some friends play. I think I don't really actually know now that I think about it. I don't remember why I played it. I played on my friend's PlayStation. I didn't even own it. It was one of my roommates. But that game sucked me in, dude. I think it was a combination of like the action that was just fun, like all the cool powers and the cool lore and the detailed world that they had built up. Just like drew me in like a good book, man. And I think that was one of my first games where like it's an action game that encourages you to freely strategize. And so each level is kind of like a sandbox. It's like a Hitman type game, I guess you could say, where your goal is to deal with a character, an enemy, and you choose.
Mm-hmm.
And in Hitman, it's usually about killing them, I think. But in this game, you choose like, all right, do I want to like just basically brute force my way through the guards and just get up to this person and kill him, or do I want to like sneak in the window? And you have all these crazy weird powers. The blink ability is one of my favorite video game abilities now.
It's very cool.
It's so cool. I played it so much and I got so invested.
Describe it
that
for people who don't know what it is.
Sure. All right. Well, I'll describe the blink ability. The blink ability, basically, it's a 3D game, so you're walking around first person, and you hold the button, and it creates this little like cursor in front of you. And when you let go of the button, you just zoom to where the cursor is. You essentially teleport. And you can also use it a little bit to get some height. And it's one of your magical abilities, and your magic abilities use, some mana, basically, a resource that you have to manage. But Blink is one of the only abilities you have where after you use it, you have like a split second where it uses your mana, and then it recharges. So if you use it over and over, you'll run out of mana. Mm-hmm. But if you use it like once every second or two, like you won't. There's no hit. So it encourages you to blink a lot. And it's the best movement option. I found myself like in real life walking around thinking like, oh, I could get over this fence if I blink over it. And then I was like, oh, I can't because
I'm human.
Yeah, I'm real. But I loved that game. It was so cool. I beat the game and I played pretty violently, and then I realized that there's like potentially changes how the game works if you don't play violently, if you use more stealth, and I won't say diplomacy because that's not really what it is, but if you use alternate methods to get around and deal with your enemies, the game changes. So I basically beat the game, watched the credits, and then started a new game like without getting up and started playing again. It was great.
Had him hooked.
Yeah.
I was hooked.
It's one of the first games that I heard people use the term pacifist runs, where essentially you could play the game like from what I know, I think it is possible to beat the whole game without killing anybody. And there's like people who like mastered it, right? Like, oh, I'm going to do the perfect pacifist run. I think there's speedrunners who do it, stuff like that. But like, to me, that game, I've never played it. But you know what's interesting? Let me ask you this, Steve. I know like one of your favorite games is Prey. But anytime I think about Prey, I kind of think about Dishonored in the same, like they're in the same, I don't want to say genre, but they have the same kind of vibe, kind of, sort of, you know?
I would say they are the same genre.
Okay.
Huh. Sci-fi, fantasy. I would say Dishonored is way more into the fantasy and Prey is more into the sci-fi. They're both made by Arcane.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
They both have that DNA. Speaking of pacifist run, my second run was a pacifist run. I could not figure out how to avoid killing, I think, like 2 people in the very beginning of the game when you don't have a lot of your abilities and you're basically just trying to escape like a jail. But I think those are the only people I killed the entire game. So I was really proud. One of my favorite, finest gaming moments, it's a level where you basically infiltrate a fancy mask party and you're supposed to, talk to people and kind of eavesdrop. And there's 3 sisters, and the game actually, I think, will randomly pick one of the 3 that you're supposed to be taking out. So part of the level is figuring out which sister you're supposed to be targeting. One wears a blue dress, one wears a red dress, one wears a white, and you learn their names and you figure out which of them is the one who's integral to the plot, and you take her out, right? So I was playing pacifist, and I'm like, well, I can't be killing her. I realized that you can in the game you can possess people and you can walk them around and then you jump out of them. And for a moment they're stunned, and then you can knock them out.
Oh, so you can't incapacitate? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, you can. You can incapacitate when you sneak up on someone. You can kill them or knock them out. You also get, I think, sleep darts that I used instead of like arrows and stuff. But yeah, I figured out which sister I needed to do. I dealt with her in a non-lethal way. But then I was playing, and I'm like, no one at this party knows who I am, and I've already been sneaking around and hiding bodies like in the basement. So basically, I cleared out the entire level. One by one, every guest in the house I brought to that basement. They started unloading from the game because there was too many in the room. But I eventually cleared the entire level. There was no one around.
Wow.
And it took me like 2 hours or something. I was so proud of myself
just because.
For this stupid achievement.
I don't know if you guys...
I've seen people do that in Hitman.
Yeah, like, I don't know if you guys ever played Metal Gear Solid 5, I think, but you can do the same thing, like where you can go into a certain town with a lot of enemies, and it's kind of designed for you to maybe on the outskirts, like do some stealth stuff, but once you get inside, it's like really, really hard. And I just remember there's this one base that I just spent
like Spider-Man. Spider-Man does that. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I spent like solidly 2 hours, maybe more, just putting everybody to sleep and hiding them and staying in stealth mode because you had to like perfectly do it, and then people don't stay to sleep forever, so you kind of have to like put them to sleep, move them a certain distance, then put somebody else to sleep before that person wakes up. But so I know what you mean. It's just fun to do that,
Yeah. Dishonored is great.
Yeah, I need to play Dishonored. Seems like
so. I have a game, kind of in the same vein, I guess, as Bradson. I don't know if either of you guys have ever played this game. It's kind of old. It was on the GameCube. And I was introduced to it by my brother, not by blood, but my brother Jordan. He showed me this game called Gotcha Force.
Oh, okay. I know about Gotcha Force. I've never played it. Matter of fact, I feel like that game is super rare. And you can get like $100,000 for a copy, something stupid.
It's a GameCube game, right?
So
yeah, it's one of the most expensive GameCube games now.
Yeah, it's like $270. So anyway, when he introduced it to me, he already had a copy, and we played it at his house. And he booted it up, and then the menu screen was like all these different colors, this terrible voice acting. The art looked fine, but I was like, oh, this is going to be horrible. And so then this character jumps on screen, and he's like this super polygonal, but kind of nice looking at the same time, action figure man. And he's like, let's go fight or something. and he's just shooting at stuff, and I'm like, this might be okay. When I tell you that there has yet to be a game that has hooked me as hard as Gacha Force has, bro, like it's super simple, but I don't know, it kind of checks all the boxes for me. Like the combat for what it is, super solid, relatively deep, and so the premise is these Borgs, I think they're called Gacha Borgs, are kind of disguised as action figures, and so these kids, collect them and then battle them, because if the what are they called? The enemy Borgs, the evil Borgs, I don't know. If they take over, then the world is doomed type of thing. Your whole run-of-the-mill evil version of stuff. Yeah. Conflict. Paper thin. But man, when I tell you, I was pleasantly surprised by that game. And so the funny thing is that when he had a copy, I was able to actually go find a copy at GameStop, like the same day. And I grabbed it for maybe $15. And I've gone through 3 copies of the game.
What?
Yes. The very first one I bought was, I brought it over to his house because he lost his, and I left it there. Then he lost mine.
Nice. Should have seen that coming.
So the next time I bought another copy, and I kept this one with me, kept it on me at all times. But I was the guy who had a game console in high school, and so I had Smash Bros. Melee, I had Gacha Force in there, I had Mario Kart Double Dash in my bag, and so I'd bring it over to a friend's house. One day I had all these discs in my little disc pack, and I left the disc pack in my friend's horribly messy bedroom. Forgot about it for like 3 days. Asked him about it. He was like, "Nah, I never saw it before. I haven't seen it in there." And never got it back. Lost all my games that day.
Yo.
That hurts.
I'm still salty.
That man stole your games.
And it was like all the high dollar ones too. Like I don't think Gacha Force was up to as much as it's worth now back then, but I mean, I was proud of my collection. And so anyway, the third one I actually bought it probably within the last 6 years, but I was keeping an eye on them because it's been like well over $100 on eBay and stuff. And somebody made the mistake. They dropped it down to, I think it was like $70. And so I grabbed another copy.
It's like, you're mine now, fool.
Wow.
I still got one.
Don't tell nobody. You may never. They might.
He just told everybody.
I mean, no, I bought another copy of No Man's Sky.
Oh, well, that's totally different. Yeah, no one's going to get that from me.
Nobody wants it. I feel like I'm misremembering the name of this game. But Marcus, the boy himself, the brother himself, he knows the name. So he'll correct me in the future if I'm wrong.
Right in the comments, Marcus.
Because he knows and he was there when this happened. But in college, a game you're talking about that hooked you in a way that was just in another level. When I was in college, this was circa 2006. You can figure out how old I was. I was a freshman. And I had a roommate. Shout out to Christian. Super legitimate. Super fun. One of my... Great roommate. Anyway, Christian had some friends in our dorm. And one lived across the hall and one down the hall. And they introduced me to a game that was called Free Space. I think that's what it was called. I'm pretty sure it's called Free Space. And...
Bro, that's solitaire. You played solitaire.
And essentially what Free Space was a multiplayer online space flight simulator game with a kind of realistic kind of economy where you actually had to do like jobs and like missions to get money for you to upgrade your ship so you can get a better ship, and all this different things. And literally Free Space took my whole life. Like I was like seeing them playing this stupid little game. It looked really old and janky. It was like whatever. And they were like, "Oh, try it out." Son, Free Space took my life over. Like essentially the whole pool of Free Space was that you start with a little janky ship and you do these little missions like cargo missions and little space fights and these little small bounty missions, and then you get a better ship, and that better ship is just better enough, a little bit better than your other ship to be like noticeable, but not that great. It's a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, a little bit shoots rockets now. And it was all about upgrading your ship. And eventually,
got him.
Like, you started with like a ship that like only one person could fly. And then eventually you get to these ships that were literally like these cruisers that were so huge. Like,
what?
Like, you would go into these fights, right? And you'd see a cruiser that's like, I'm trying to describe, it's like comparing like your Honda Civic to the, like, literally the space shuttle. Like, I'm driving a Honda Civic.
Not talk trash about my Honda Civic.
And no, like maybe the International Space Station size. Like, that's what, like it was so big. Like, you'd be in a fight, like having these dog fights, and then a cruiser would come in, and you'd see it like moving. Like, you know, when something's so big, it looks like it's moving slow.
Yeah.
And it comes in and it's shooting missiles and laser beams from every side of it. Like, and it's killing everybody. Like, you would sit there and be like, oh my goodness, I need that. Like, here's the
thing. A person was driving it?
A person was flying around with it. And it was like, or if you were on the same server and you know what I'm saying? And one of my roommate's friends had like a giant, like, and there was this whole thing where there's like the space police.
The space police.
And they had a hub, and basically, like Grand Theft Auto, you get stars and they'll chase you and stuff. So like every once in a while you had to go over to the space police area, but your instant death if you shot one of the, and also like this game kind of had like kind of a permadeath system where like if your ship got blown up, it was like gone. So like you were very, very like careful. You don't fight everybody. Somebody might even like sometimes you might get robbed. Like, you'll be flying and people will rob you, and you're just like, here, take my money, because you might not be able to kill them. You know. So anyway, at the space station, and my roommate's friend says, "Hey, meet me there. I'm going to destroy the police station." We're like, "You're crazy. That is impossible." This man shows up with this Death Star, son, and is killing everybody, like blowing up destroys the station. We're like, "Oh my goodness, there's levels to this, son." Like,
wow.
It really, I'm pretty sure it's called Free Space. It ruined my life. I had to stop
still
playing.
Around?
Maybe. I mean, this game was so old. I don't even know. I'll look it up, but I just remember like I had to stop playing it because it was a legitimate problem. Like, genuinely a problem. Like, WoW level becoming a problem, you know, not going to class, staying up at 5 a.m. in the morning, like that kind of stuff. So I forgot about Free Space, but you reminded me of it as you were talking.
Free Space took your free space.
It really did.
It's free time.
It was the only space I knew.
Free space time.
So Steve,
you ever think about how people are talking about the early morning hours, and they say 5 a.m. in the morning? You ever think about how redundant that
5 a.m. at night? You know,
well, you just say 5 a.m. I guess
it's 5 a.m. It's specific enough.
I mean, I hate the morning, so I'm specific about how terrible it is.
You could say 5 in the morning.
But okay, let me ask you
in
this.
The morning.
What
at first light?
What is morning? Is morning just a state of time, or does that mean when the sun rises?
If it's 5 in the morning, or 5 at night, like, you know.
5 at night? What is 5 at night?
I would be questionable about 5 at night, but 5 in the morning is really obviously like, it's 5 a.m.
when it's dark.
5 in the evening, you know, it's 5 p.m., right? That makes sense. In
evening.
Yeah.
So 5 in the morning makes sense.
Or 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah, like in the afternoon. That is redundant. But yeah, 5 at night might be the only time that you might have to question somebody. Like, do you mean a.m. or p.m.?
5 a.m. p.m.
I mean, I don't know how long I went in my life saying 5 a.m. in the morning until somebody pointed it out to me like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Got him.
And now I just can't stop hearing it.
Did they go to Georgia Tech?
No, he did not go to Georgia Tech. Wait. Mm-hmm. The person who I'm thinking it might have been did not go to Georgia Tech, but now I'm wondering, was it him or was it somebody
Well,
else?
Here's the thing. At Georgia Tech, for those who don't know, like, people love to correct you when you say something wrong. Like they just, it's just people get joy out of it, you know.
Yeah,
so,
that's my role in this podcast. Is to
he
correct
gets
you.
joy out of correcting us for things that we don't care about.
But you know, sometimes I correct you when you don't know the name of something. I just have it. I just know that I got that.
You're gonna correct me till 5 a.m. in the morning, so I don't even know.
5 a.m. in the 5 a.m. at night.
5 a.m. at night.
Oh my. That makes me think of, like, that has a similar tone. Like, I hear people saying, so we're going to have an event on today. And I'm like, you could just say today. Like, if it was tomorrow, maybe you could say on tomorrow. But not on today.
Not on today. Yo, this is super random. But do y'all remember, I can't remember what they were called. It was like these guys who did spoofs on like X-Men. And that's where the Juggernaut B came from. Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know the video you're talking about. But
it was
a
whole series. Well, I just remember there was this one video way back in the day where somebody was like, "I'm on the world" or something. Like, he was like got big. He's like, "I'm on the world," and we just used to think that was so funny. Like, no, he's not in the world. He's so big, he on the world. Like,
he's sitting on top of the world.
You know? Like, I can't remember what it was from, but I remember us dying about that.
He is planted upon the world.
On the world. Not in the world, on the world. Steve, do you have another game that you're thinking of that surprised you?
Sure.
What game are you thankful for, Steve?
What do you think?
Should I do another positive one or
Whatever
another
you
negative
feel,
one?
brother.
What do you think?
Mediocre.
Mediocre. All right. I'll quickly mention a negative one and then talk about a positive one. Borderlands 3 was a disappointment.
Oh,
that's on my list.
Somehow what happened?
Yeah,
list,
I won't get into. I mean, we've discussed at length why it was bad.
Yes.
So just watch that episode if you want to know. But Borderlands 2 was a positive surprise for me because I mean it just looked like kind of a cheesy action shooter with obnoxious characters, which, to be fair,
they are obnoxious.
they were right on the line.
They
were right on the line.
Yeah.
But man, when I was playing with someone instead of trying to play by myself or just watching,
it's a great multiplayer.
Really
game.
made it. Playing with Brad and then with Kyle together, the three of us, was like so much fun. I feel like that. I mean. I want to say that game, playing that game with you guys, was the genesis of this. I know you guys are doing a bunch of stuff already, like Scratch the Itch and Amber and other things, but I feel like that's what made me... That and Knack. Those are the two experiences that made me a super agile
Knack
bro.
bonded us for life.
DRG was in there, too.
No, because DRG, I feel like by DRG, we'd already been established.
The Slack channel
I see.
hardcore, yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Borderlands 2, that was a game that just had a lot of... It was goofy, it was fun, the missions were pretty much all the same, you know, the world, it's just whatever. It's really, a lot of the fun comes into the loot, and just optimizing the loot, finding the weird effects, and building up your character's abilities to, like, draw out your play style and just have a bonkers build. That's always really satisfying for me.
Yeah, the way they handled, I guess you can call them skill trees, was pretty... It was a whole lot deeper than I expected a game like that to be.
Yeah.
It was intricate.
Yeah.
Like, you could easily mess up your build or be broken. Like, depending on how careful you were.
And you know what I really love about Borderlands 2 and you know, for me, I guess it wasn't a surprise because Borderlands 1 was my surprise. So I knew Borderlands 2 should be great. But like...
Fair enough.
What I like about the Borderlands game, excluding Borderlands 3, is that for some reason, they did such a good job of making everybody feel useful. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever like played an experience where you don't really know if you're having an impact on like what's happening? Like, oh, like, am I killing people? Am I doing damage? Does it matter really? I really feel like when I was playing with you guys, I could feel like if I don't kill this guy, if I don't do this, if I don't back them up, we might not win, you know? And it always felt like just enough challenge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, of course you get murdered if you go against super high level people, But I don't know. I really like a game where I feel like I'm having impact and to do it with other people, and it feels like that all the time. And there's so many cool weapons and so many cool experiences, and it just felt like, I don't know. It was so fun. Yeah, and I agree with you, Steve. I do feel like that was one of the major steps in like us playing games together, you know? Because I think me and Kyle had played a few games together before that. We had played like Fortnite, like, and like some other stuff. But
Apex, Minecraft.
Yeah. But that was after. That was after. The only game we'd really have played before was maybe Minecraft. Before. Maybe Minecraft.
I'm getting my timeline.
Was maybe Minecraft for a little bit. And and of course Fortnite. And then
Fortnite.
And then I think like Borderlands really solidified it, yeah.
When was Monster Hunter?
Same time. After.
That was after. That was after and during Borderlands too.
During. Okay.
Yeah. Because Steve, you didn't have a PlayStation 4 until a little bit later, right? Like you didn't get one.
No, I owned a PlayStation 4 when I lived with you, but I didn't use it because we had yours hooked up.
Because we were playing Borderlands 2, and then finally we were like, oh, let's get Monster Hunter.
No. I did use it, but I had it in the other room. That's right. Yeah. So. I didn't own Borderlands 2, so I just played on your PlayStation.
Yeah. No, I agree. Borderlands 2. You know, it's interesting because I don't even want to talk about it because I still feel like there's still more to know. But a game that's currently surprising me right now, and I have to bring it up, is Chimera Land. You know, and we mentioned it briefly on the last episode, and Steve has dabbled in it, so you know he kind of maybe sees what me and Kyle see in it now. But like, it's such a surprising. First of all, okay, for those who don't know, okay, let me give you the background on how Chimera Land even entered our lives. So,
so random,
super random. So, you know, we have a YouTube channel for this podcast. And I generally am the person who's like uploading the videos and making sure everything's good. And so I have to switch to our YouTube account from time to time. Now, none of us use the YouTube account for anything other than uploading the videos and like checking out stuff or whatever. So we don't watch any videos. So one thing I've noticed about that channel is it'll just suggest the most random videos. Like,
it's pure.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
It's like one of the weirdest things. And I try not to click on too many videos because I'm afraid that it'll start getting an algorithm. But like every once in a while I'll be like, oh, that's random. And I saw a review for like Chimera Land, the weirdest game I've ever played. And I was like, this is such a clickbaity title. But you know what? I'm here now. You know? And I was just blown away by what in the world I was watching. Like, I was like, was this made in 1998? like, and the dude's describing it, and there's all these mechanics, and he's talking about hatching eggs and animals eating other animals and getting parts and then flying. And I was like, what in the world? So I shared it with the guys in you know, the brothers in our Discord, and Kyle, who's always down to play anything random, I was like, yo, Kyle, you want to play? He's like, yeah, for sure. and we jump in there, and on the first time we play it, I stream it. And all of a sudden people are, first of all, I do not have a Twitch that anybody should be following. But all of a sudden people jump into my Twitch talking to me.
Like 10 people.
Like 10 people like, hey, you play this? Hey, you should do this. And telling us all the secrets. But the thing about Chimera Land is that it is literally every game.
Every game.
It really feels like a Chimera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chimera game. It should be called Chimera game.
It really should be, because it has like every element, you know, RPG, building, crafting, pets, fighting,
swimming, fishing.
It's also very Chinese.
It has some weird story, exploration. I think I said this in the last video, but I'm waiting for us to run into a card game. It's somewhere in there.
There's got to be. So there is. Yeah, like one of the main ways you interact with like the side content is through. There's an arcade machine.
Yes.
In the game. So there's gotta be a mini game somewhere. There has to.
And the weird thing is, like, it takes place in, I would say, like, the same kind of setting as Monster Hunter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it seems like it.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, in the past, but like an alternate future kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Because they have technology.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, like, magic, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Oh!
Well, there's not really...
No, what were you going to say? Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say... It really doesn't matter. Go on.
He just gave up.
The suspense.
He's like, it doesn't even matter. I would love to hear what you were going to say, Steve. Now you got me sitting on the edge of my seat. I need to know.
Yes. Everything is fine with Chimera Land.
All points are relevant.
I was only going to say that the setting, like the world, seems similar to Monster Hunter, but when you said they have technology, I'm like, who? Like, there's not really anyone there.
Yeah.
All I've seen are other players.
So that's the weird.
Oh.
You haven't even seen that part of the game yet. Like, there's a whole other set of games where you can take bounties. Forgot about that. There's bounties. There's a random disco ball with a weird Dance Dance Revolution type of mechanic.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
There's and there's farming. But it's like real time farming. Like, it takes hours.
Check on those crops.
Yeah, so there's, like, over the weekend, I had planted some trees, and I had to go back in the game, like, every few hours to refertilize my trees.
You gotta water them.
And and make sure they're good, because...
I'm not down for that. I'm so
No, it's fine.
You don't have to.
Like,
it's optional.
It's literally optional. There's no... You don't have to associate it with it at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, technically, you don't even necessarily need to have a pet per se, right? Like, you could
base.
Or a base. Like, you could just have a square with the little spirit orb. Well, I guess you need a base because you have to get the points so you can get better weapons. But they're always, like, it's linear. It's more or less linear when it comes to that.
Stuff is linked. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so much that you can and cannot do. Like, Kyle has really gotten into... it's like trying hard to describe a game that has no, like, description. Like, I'm not even sure what my goal is in the game.
It's a force of nature.
It's a force of nature. But I don't know. I said a lot. Kyle, what were you saying about coming?
I don't even know what I was saying. But I know we talked about, like, in game design, the inch wide, mile deep, or vice versa. And, like, Chimera Land is just, like, blowing everything out of the water as far as the dimensions. Because when you...
It's a mile wide and a mile deep.
Yeah, really.
When you think you have a grasp of any part of the game, it just does something completely wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the parts you did go through, Steve, that character creator, like, you have this radial type...
Yeah.
And it's, like, in real time adjusting different blend shapes and stuff. You could be a different age. It has no bearing on the game, but the fact that they went so deep into it, and you're, like, different types of creatures, and then when you're born into the game.
And it's so much fun to watch. Like, just messing with watching your character go from a jellyfish woman to a little ox.
Yeah,
right.
It's like, what the
like,
heck?
seamless transition.
Yeah.
And the baby characters are so, like, adorable.
They are.
You can be a dog man, but you can also be a dog baby, and it's like, oh my god,
puppy,
I'm a puppy.
yeah.
I'm a puppy.
I want to pet me.
Right. Like, you're not just a small dogman.
Yes. And I feel like it's one of those games where, like, every once, like, I'll play, you know, and then I'll just, like, it's like and I know it's gonna end eventually, but it feels like every time I play, there's a little bit more of discovery. You know, there's something that I just did. Oh, what is this guy talking about? Wait, what? I can do this? Wait, that's a thing? Wait, I need this. You know, like, it's just over and over, like, just all these systems. And the craziest part to me, and the part that I think blows my mind the most, is that it's super not glitchy. Like, for a game with so many mechanics, so many things going on, I am so surprised that it's not just a glitchy mess, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah. It did seem very robust.
Mm-hmm. Like, the only time the game has had any issues for me is when I change hardware stuff on my computer. Like, if I unplug, like a USB port, it'll crash.
Oh.
So I can't mess with it. But in the game, I've never really had any issues. But I'm telling you, everything about that game looks like you should be clipping into walls and not be able to move. You should lose your inventory.
It should be erasing your hard drive because it's a virus.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, and they have a lot of like things that are very considerate. Like they've listened to player feedback because like for example, they have these like these chests, right? Where you can place stuff in them. And you know, like when you play another game and you break a chest, like you don't necessarily know what's going to happen. Either it won't allow you to break a chest, either all the items break out of the chest and you have to pick them up manually, or the chest goes in your inventory. But what happened is I accidentally broke a chest and it sent me an email. Like they sent me a message telling me, hey, you broke a chest with stuff in it. Just to be aware, that chest, we've retained all of your items. When you place it again, all of your items will be in there. But it's like something they didn't have to do. Like it was specifically made for me when I accidentally destroyed a chest and I freak out. Like it just was like, hey, it's all good. You're good, you know? And there's so many of these little convenience things that you could tell they've been listening, you know?
And the UI, to Brad's point earlier, it is, for all intents and purposes, like pretty bad. But it's like, to me, it reminds me of what people say about Monster Hunter's UI, you know? Is that over time it gets bad type of thing. But to me, Monster Hunter was bad from the start. And in my opinion, Chimera Land, it wasn't good from the start, but like it wasn't Monster Hunter to me, it just shows you too much too early. While in Chimera Land, everything, the worst part about the UI is everything is separated. But then once you know where things are, you really don't have to deal with like unnecessary overlap, and you can always find stuff pretty easily. Yeah. It's just like the layout's a little weird. But it's like, the more you deal with it, I know there's a lot of forgiveness in there with it, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's one of those things where it seems like the people who made the UI tried to meet you halfway. It didn't say, well, they're going to need this information, so I'm just going to leave it here anyway type of thing. I've never felt that way about the UI.
You know?
It's you can definitely tell it's a mobile game.
Yeah, I think you said that early, Steve. Yeah.
Once you realize, like, oh, this was built to be like touched on a phone or a tablet, then like getting in and out of menus and stuff makes more sense intuitively, because you're like, oh, it's going to be on the screen. Don't push escape or anything like that. Like just look for a button that closes the thing.
Yeah.
Or that takes you to this other thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe...
Although there are keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, I can't believe that there's a mobile and a PC version of this game. Like, to me, everything about it just seems like, this can't make sense. Like, who is doing this? Like, I legitimately am like, who is the one guy who made this whole game and is maintaining this whole, like...
Still developing.
I'm sure it's not just one guy.
It has to be.
It seems like it probably has a lot of power.
Yeah,
it's at least two guys.
At least two guys. One guy has a server that runs in his mom's basement. No, I mean... You know, I've been playing Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man. I think I've been telling you guys. And, you know, I'm just getting started into it. So I want to make a note and then say something that has surprised me about Spider-Man. So one thing that I've noted about playing Chimera Land and Spider-Man, like, around the same time, is that Chimera Land having a horrible UI is a artifact of when you have too many mechanics. And you have to let users interact with them in some way, because Chimera has, you have attendants, and attendants are like your fighting buddies, but they have an inventory where you give them equipment, and you have a pet who also has like RPG elements, and then you have a home, and then you have a field, and you have all these things, and you need to surface all these things for people to be able to do all these complex mechanics. So like making a UI that makes sense is going to be terrible. It's really, really tough. And then like I play Spider-Man, and the UI is very good in my opinion. I like how they handle a lot of things. And I realize it's because they're very focused, you know, like, hey, you need to upgrade your suit. Hey, you need to upgrade your gadget. Hey, you need to, you know, here's a wheel, you know, for you to change out your web, you know, tools or whatever. And, you know, so I'm like, oh, I see it now. Like if if Spider-Man had like 10 more mechanics,
oh yeah,
then the UI would be horrible because they already have a whole bunch of tabs. You know what I'm saying? For skills and web and blah blah suits.
So many tabs
and collectors and collections and stuff. So
and you can have suits, and your suits can have
exactly.
powers,
and then you could switch them out, and then you need to get these materials, and then you do this and that. So skill trees. So
did you guys ever go through the social media feed on Spider-Man?
Yes, I did.
What do you think?
I love that.
I haven't played it long enough to really have had time, but I see it and I'm like, I should look at this. But go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I saw it. It's all flavor text. I don't think any of it is important, but it's really cool, and it's one of the things people talk about, how the city feels alive. Like, oh, you can go anywhere, and there's always people walking around, and there's crimes happening like in real time. You can go stop them, blah blah blah. But I'm like, they also have a radio station with J. Jonah Jameson's counterpart. I don't know if it's actually him, but that type of character basically on a talk show. And they have a Twitter feed that talks about the things that Jonah Jameson is talking about, talks about the things happening in the plot, talks about the crimes that you've stopped or haven't stopped.
Like a real time.
It's not like super. Yeah, it's not like ridiculously impressive, but it's enough that it feels cool.
Yeah.
I was into that. I liked that.
So what?
And it doesn't you can read all of it. Like, it's not so overwhelming like Twitter, like real Twitter.
Real Twitter. So wait, Kyle, what were you going to say about it? So did you think it was cool, or did you have?
Yeah. I thought it was fine. Once I read it a couple times, I was kind of in the same boat with Steve, where I realized it was flavor text. And so it didn't really capture my attention very much anymore. Because I knew there wasn't going to be like any extra value. Mm-hmm. There were a handful of times where I wouldn't do something specific necessarily, but you could tell I did something that was specific enough that it triggered a certain type of message. They were like, and so those times were nice, but they were and I think they were few and far in between on purpose, so it would seem like, oh, you genuinely did something, and so here's your in-universe, in-game reward type of thing. Yeah. But the further I got along with the game, trying to keep track of the story, trying to keep track of my skills, trying to keep track of my gadgets, and it was like it was too overwhelming, because I'd play through 3 or 4 missions and then realize, I haven't looked at the feed, and you have to scroll manually, and it didn't feel worth it anymore. Yeah, it definitely feels like one of those things where it's immersion, right? It's like, oh, this is really cool. Like, it's kind of like we were talking about, like an artist does all this stuff in the city. Like, I was like looking at like, man, look at this, like how they remodeled New York and did all these things to also make it playable. And I was like, man, like all I'm doing is swinging by this at like 80 miles per hour. Like, right. Like I'm not appreciating it, but if they didn't do it, I wouldn't be as immersed in the experience. So it's like a weird like catch-22. So I actually have like a weird surprise about my experience with Spider-Man so far. And I've only played not that long, but I've been surprised how much I don't like some things about it. And I know it's... Ooh, name them.
Yeah, so...
It's a perfect game.
Yeah, and I know these are literal fighting words with Kyle, so I tread very, like, Kyle's is a nice and friendly guy, but I feel like also Kyle could, nothing, it's just kind of funny, like, if I thought of,
what you trying to say, man?
If you had a superpower, it would be kind of like Kingpin, how, like, Kingpin is super strong, and, like, you can't mess with him when he's, like, in Kingpin mode. Like, he just runs through walls and like I feel like that's Kyle. Like, Kyle is super nice, but I also feel like he's like the most powerful man you've ever known.
I've got a Kingpin mode
in you.
He catches Spider-Man's kids.
What are you doing? Just throws.
What are you doing? This man is Spider-Man.
Like, you're just a normal dude. No, I'm Kyle. But anyway, so there's 2 things that I've kind of been kind of like, maybe I'll get more into them. One is I'm getting better at it, but I don't really enjoy the combat as much as I thought I would. I've enjoyed, the Arkham Asylums and, games that kind of have this kind of flow, but for some reason, I almost feel a little overwhelmed by all of the things that I can do. And I'm starting to get it now, and I'm getting better at the game, and I feel like, oh, I'm Spider-Man. I'm like becoming a ninja, a spider ninja.
You really feel like Spider-Man.
But like, kind of how you described your experience with God of War is kind of how I felt about Spider-Man, Kyle. Like, it makes sense. Press square to attack, press circle, da-da-da. But like, it just felt like a lot of things were happening really fast. Like, especially in the first moment, like, oh, press R1, R2 to zip this way, and then do that to do this, and like, this is all happening in the first mission, and I was like, okay, cool, this is a tutorial, but then I was in the city, and I was fighting, like, normal criminals, and they were whooping me up a little bit, because I couldn't remember what in the world, like, and then, like, oh, do a web throw, and I'm getting it now, but I was surprised by how much I didn't like it at first. Like,
I will say that feeling goes away because I felt exactly the same.
Okay.
The first level, they tell you everything immediately, and it's like, whoa! But you don't really have to use everything. You're basically, like, they give you everything, and there's, like, a one-time tutorial, but then when you're actually fighting the first boss, like, it doesn't matter. But then slowly they'll introduce characters that make you rehash some of those mechanics.
Yeah.
Okay. So they kind of tutorialize it through a boss or something like that. Like, you get to...
No. They'll, like, through mobs. Like, random dudes.
Oh, the thugs.
Yeah, okay. Oh, like thugs, holding square to uppercut somebody, or having to web shoot the big dudes.
Yeah,
sliding behind
they'll have more guys who have shields, for example, and you have to go underneath them. Or you'll have more dudes with weapons that you have to take their weapons away from them, stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Kyle, did you like the combat when you first? Did it make sense to you, or what was, like, your vibe?
So, short answer is yeah. I loved the combat from the start. I have to agree, though, that the way they tutorialized it was not great. Because they did do the notorious thing where they show you too much too early. And it was contextual for all intents and purposes. But it was like, there's 4 dudes in front of you. You press triangle to zip to one guy, and then you knock that guy out. And then it's like everything slows down again. And like, press this button, and it's like, hold on, can I zip to another guy again first? I only did it once, And so I think if they would have just like spaced things out, it would have been a whole lot more digestible. Because like you're saying, that very first fight, I think by the end of that fight, you probably used one of the web bombs or something. Like, you're using a gadget already, and it's like, no, way too soon. But I personally, my favorite genre of game is beat 'em ups, like, hands down. And so you put me in a game where I'm Spider-Man, I just got to tap square mindlessly, and I press triangle to get close to a guy so I can just tap square again. I'm in heaven. So I really liked the game. And simple combos.
Push circle so you kick him up in the air and then tap square some more.
Tap.
So I vibed with that game like super hard. I didn't even care about the tutorial. Like, I was figuring out stuff before it was telling me it because I was just pressing everything, and so I didn't even care. But I totally get it from a game design standpoint. It didn't do that well.
You really do eventually get into kind of a flow state with the combat where you're like, you just know how to do everything without thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting there now because So I was going to actually say the other thing that surprised me about this game is that, and I'll probably change as I get further, but right now I don't really care about the story. I've been doing all the random side stuff. Like, literally before I even did this, I don't even know if I've done the second main mission yet. Like, I've gotten every single backpack, I've done every single landmark, and I've done every single the place where you, like, the construction sites. I've done all of them before I even started the second mission. And
I got good news for you. There are more.
And
there's so much.
And I don't know if that's good news. That actually is kind of like, oh no. Like, I knew that was going to happen because I looked at the menu and I saw all those question marks. I was like, oh man, there's so many of these. Like that overwhelms me a little bit. But
they're also fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a weird thing. Like, it kind of feels like I have to do them because I'm a gamer and I can't imagine not getting one of the backpacks when it's like literally 5 meters from me. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm trying to do something else and then the crimes happen. So it's been a weird experience where I'm like, I'm playing the side game, but I kind of want to play the main game, but I'm not interested in the main game. So I'm in this weird place with it right now where like I like it, and I've gotten pretty good with the fighting so far, except for sometimes I just get worked by the little mini big dudes. Like if there's two of them, they'll just combo me, and
they're
I'm like,
busted.
and I'm like, what's going on? And then the shooter, like the people who shoot like the assault rifles are annoying. Actually, you know what I wish? I wish in the beginning of the game there was just less enemy types, and it was just normal thugs with like
That's the main thing.
I think it's just too much. I just wish it was a little bit like it ramped up slowly. But anyway, so I don't know if it's a negative about Spider-Man, but right now maybe it's also because I've gotten a lot of hype from it that I'm kind of like, oh, I didn't expect to run into these things and not like them so early. Because I like Arkham Asylum. And Kyle, have you played Arkham? Any of the Arkham games?
Not at length, but I've played. I don't know which one it was, but I only played it for a little while. Yeah, but I have played.
And I love the Arkham's combat and how they do it. So Spider-Man's just like the next level.
Very similar,
But I don't know. So I was surprised by my experience with Spider-Man, but I'm liking it, kind of, sort of, and I'm expecting that I like it more. Just putting that out there.
One thing that I do, because I love both of the Spider-Man games. The first Spider-Man game is the first game I've ever platinumed on PlayStation. But I have to say definitively in both of them, the thing that I hate the most, which I'm still very disappointed about, is the wall climbing.
Yeah, it's pretty wonky.
It's very wonky.
You think so?
There's a lot of games that have done it better. Yeah, I mean, you don't use it. That's why I kind of give a lot of forgiveness in it. But for it hasn't been patched or anything. Like it hasn't been improved from when the game was first released. Because I feel like they would have improved it in Miles Morales if they were going to, but they didn't.
I feel it's one of the situations where if they could, it's probably like a systemic thing. Like it just has to be that way in order for swinging to be better, right? Like, it reminds me, as we're kind of coming in here for a landing, but like it kind of reminds me of the game. Gosh, I've talked about it. You're a guy.
Knack 2.
Oh gosh, no, it's you're a dude who can jump everywhere, and it's
Prototype.
Jump man.
Jump man. Yeah,
Jump man.
Prototype. Some of the things that when I'm playing Spider-Man, I think to myself, man, I kind of wish I was playing Prototype right now, because Prototype does such a good job with traversal.
They do.
It's probably the best traversal I've ever seen in a game. Like, somebody said this one time, and I 100% agree with them. You can be running full speed and say, I want to land on top of that light pole. And you'll be like way up on top of a skyscraper, and you'll land directly on it. Like,
Infamous was like that too.
I was about to say Infamous seems really similar.
Son, yeah. All the Infamous games. But so I don't know. Spider-Man, I'm enjoying it. I'm just surprised by those negative experiences. I think it's just because it's been hyped in my mind, I think that's actually why I don't like hearing much about games. I like just going in them because it's easier for me to get disappointed than to be positive. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. They'll never match the hype.
You're ruining games for all of our listeners. We're all hyping the
How
games.
dare you tell me this game is good? But no, I think it's good. I've been hyping up God of War, so I'm waiting for Kyle to be disappointed.
Yeah. So
I haven't played it out either.
I'm probably going to be delayed on God of War because there is a game that has a lot of hype right now that Mrs. Yams just got it for me for Valentine's Day. You guys might have heard about it. Sifu.
Oh yeah, your game.
Oh yeah,
your game.
Yeah, my game.
Yeah, but
I haven't.
It's his game.
I haven't played it yet. I downloaded it.
I heard in the past that it wasn't like super long, so I think you can enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy the experience and get to.
Hey, that's right up.
Kyle, should we play God of War together? I would take breaks from the games I'm playing to play with you.
Yeah, if you want to coordinate that, so we can talk about it for sure.
Yeah,
I'm down.
We should definitely do an episode of God of War, and I'll play it again. I mean, I've beaten it. Like, I might not play it again, but I'll continue to play it because I've beaten it, and I'm like in God of War Plus mode now. So
extra God mode.
Yeah. So it's the narrative is so good. Irrelevant of the gameplay, the narrative. Anyway, I'm hyping it up.
Wow.
Just enjoy it.
Was great.
Let's coordinate it. Let's talk about it after the podcast in some way. We talk. We have too many.
About to start skipping meals for lunch so I can just play God of War for lunch.
Just who needs food or bread when you have God of War? It makes sense.
It's food for your soul.
Food for your soul. So, yeah, man. I mean, I have more games on my list, but it's like, we'll probably come back to this somehow, some way. These games will come back around. We'll talk about them. But, you got
to mention, though, the unexpectedly good game, Bug Snacks. That has to be mentioned.
Yes. As you might guess, we have positive feelings about that game as we did a whole episode. Well, maybe we wouldn't have positive, but we at least were surprised by the experience. We have feelings about it. But Bug Snacks, I had on my list as well, is a positively surprised, way beyond positive. Just thought it was going to be a stupid little game that I was going to quit after 5 minutes.
Right.
But it was... yeah.
Look at you now.
Look at us now. We are Bug Snacks fans.
Now you are the Bug Snacks.
We are. We are all Bug Snacks. So deep down in our hearts. But anyway, as always, guys, thank you. Thank you, Kyle, for
always a pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. Really.
Thank you for letting me correct you constantly.
I'm used to it. I'm a Georgia
Tech.
Rely
on it.
I'm a Georgia Tech alumni. I wouldn't have made it. Alumnus. See?
Among Us. What?
Among Us. I'm a Georgia Tech Among Us. So you know what it is. And once again, thank you to everybody listening to the Super Agile Bros. Thank you all the Super Agile sisters. You are welcome here in the Super Agile Nation. Super Agile Bros Nation. Did you say not really?
I said family.
Super
Agile Bros. Cinematic
universe. But yeah, man, keep looking out. We got more coming, of course, podcasts, and maybe follow us on Twitch. Maybe we'll go on Twitch once in a while. But of course, follow us on Twitter at the SAB Podcast. That is at the SAB Podcast. Remember, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. Boyo.
Apple Podcasts.
We out here in these streets. We everywhere. And looking forward to doing more. Keep on. I just want to say this. Keep on sending your ideas to us and letting us know what you're thinking about.
We are listening.
We're listening. We're not guaranteeing that we're gonna do it.
Yeah, we got a list going.
The real truth is, the only way we could cover all the stuff we could do is if we were recording more than once a week. So
yes,
some stuff is definitely going to fall to the wayside, which we don't want to do. But just know that
it's in the pipeline.
Yes, in the pipeline. We appreciate it. Please keep sharing your ideas, how we can get better, what you wish we were doing better, blah, blah, blah. Everything, good, bad, and the indifferent. Please share them all. We really appreciate it. It's
the 5 a.m. in the morning and the 5 p.m. at night.
Yes. Particularly 5 at night. We need you to send it that time. So, anywho, thank you guys once again for listening. And until next time, peace.